Oh, hello. This is 3020 Gaming. My name is Kevin, and everything appears to be working, which is cool because there were some updates. These amazing people have agreed to come and play a game with me tonight, and even though we're down to two players and a me, we're going to do it anyway because it's an interesting game and it's so compartmentalized at this point that this works. So, these people are. Dun 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 dun. You look too ready. Cara Sophia, start with you.
As we all try and get our pose and say, okay, what will avoid him having to call on us this time? And oh, I should have had my tea ready. I didn't. Hi, I'm Karis.
What do you do when you're not here?
I'm not here. Uh,
You
um,
are.
I disappear
Sometimes.
into the ether. I
Ah.
obviously.
And there you were, gone. Just like that, not in front of us anymore. Moving on to the always prepared, except that you just realized you weren't. What are you doing? Getting links? I bet you're getting your link, aren't you? You forgot to get your link until
No,
just
I
now.
haven't.
Wayward Night!
Hi, I am Wayward Knight, aka Chris. I spend like 99% of my time in the Dirty 20 gaming community. Uh, I play Felicity Caldwell here on the Saturday night games. I run our Grave New World Buffy the Vampire Slayer game on Monday nights. I am also an artist on the internet. I sell my art. You can check it out if you want. My links are there.
Bam.
Um, if you like what you see, support your small and local artist friends. I also host a podcast called Professional Questers, where I interview people in the TTRPG world about the characters that they play, and then I flip the script and interview the characters themselves. So that's me, and that's what I do.
And there we
Check
go.
out our Discord.
Yes, you
I'm on our
should. It's
Discord a
already
lot
Yes.
on there.
too.
That's which is really cool. So
Yes.
yeah, pop to the Discord. It's a very supportive place. It's one of the nicest places I've ever been on the internet, and so there, I'll stand by that statement. Uh, the game we're playing tonight is
So
loosely
there.
based on Necrobiotic. We at least that's the mechanics that we're using still, of the mechanics that we're still
We have
using.
mechanics.
We do one or two, and we don't even use them the way that they were originally written. But credit where credit is
They
due.
inspired us. So there. What
And
more
it's
can
still
you
in the
ask?
title. It's called Necrobiotic Dead to Rights. So, but with that, the character art is done using Hero Forge, and let's do this. Because last time, several last times ago, Allegra was busy Allegraing all over the place and changing the world for the better in the process. When we arrived back at the Maison Caldwell, and you stepped out of the Orchid Mobile to see what at first you took to be a bad thing. You saw Terrence
Oh, it was
uh,
horrible.
ordering around, as far as you could tell, the Lemvillians and forcing your words them to carry a palanquin, the very thing they had done in Lemville. And you had headed over to give him a piece of your mind when Terence stopped you in your tracks with the phrase, "But I asked them what they do."
Yeah. And I've had like a month to sit on that gut punch. Thank you very much. And it's still a gut punch. Thank you
Uh-huh.
very much.
Mm-hmm. So how do you respond to that? You're out in the front yard of the castle, so to speak.
So, after taking what seems like a month to process that statement from Terrence, um, oh, wait, what did you just say?
I specifically I said, "What do you want to do?" And they said, "Carry a palanquin." And then I said, "But what else do you want to do?" And they looked at me the way a frog looks at a windmill.
Um, yeah, I get that. And I'm sort of stumbling to sit down. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, I'm out in the yard. There's nothing to sit on. and my crutches are collapsing under me, and I sort of
There's a
land
Palanquin.
ungracefully. Yeah, but it's over there because I was watching it. So I sit down rather ungracefully, and suddenly,
Mhm.
yes, on the grass. I hope this is grass and not dirt.
It is, yes,
Um,
yeah. Not quite sure what to do. Terrence just sits down opposite you and waits. The Lemvillians have stepped away from the Palanquin, but they're still standing in 4 rows of 3.
um, I can't keep craning my neck looking up at you people. Come, sit down here. Sit down here.
And 3 of them sit there, and 3 of them sit there, and 3 of them sit there, and 3 of them sit there. It's like the Blue Man Group without the paint. It's just...
Why? Okay, I don't think I was listening properly when I saw you at the gate, and I apologize for that. I was distracted and surprised. So tell me again, why are you here?
And the one that there's just subtle hints that they're the one that's they're sort of the most senior person there. There's a reason for them to be the speaker, and they say, because we want to be free.
What does that mean to you?
It means that we get to do what we want.
Okay, and what do you want to do?
To be the best Palanquin team ever.
Okay, and what was preventing you from doing that at Lemville?
And they say the word like it's the first time their lips have moved around it. Uh, Conformity. We weren't allowed to be better.
Ah, so what would a what would the best ever Palanquin team be like?
Get in and we'll show you.
Uh, uh, okay. Can you help me up here?
Terrence, yeah, Terrence is just glad to not be the target of the anything anymore. He rapidly helps you stand up and takes you over to the Palanquin and even holds the door for you like a footman.
Wait, thank you. Does me feeling like a princess have anything to do with being the best team?
And they all sort of turn together and bow towards you, and from that position you hear his voice say, "That is simply part of the procedure, madam." And they start to march into position, and they lift you up, and it
Okay.
comes up. And then, have you seen the rifle drills, like the
Uh-huh.
unnecessarily complicated? It's like that, but with a palanquin. Like they're all facing forward. They walk about 5 steps. They kind of throw the palanquin up in the air, a little bit. They all turn around, grab the sticks as it lands, and walk the other way. They rotate you. There's pirouettes.
Um.
There's the whole yeah.
Okay. Um. Wow.
And you could hear. Well, continue on because you haven't told them to stop. And there's clearly a whole program. Like they've done. This
Uh-huh.
isn't the short program. This is the long program you're getting.
I'm
Uh,
not gonna interrupt
yeah.
them.
From the front of it, you hear him say, "Can you believe there's no one doing this in this town?"
Um. Hey, Terrence. Terrence.
As you go by, he's like,
Um, where do people do um parades and exhibitions and things in this town?
and they kind of they modify what they're doing, so they're walking in a rough circle around Terrence. So he has to turn like you're like to follow
Hmm.
you, but you
Well,
can
I mean,
actually
I'm going back
maintain.
and forth as
Yeah,
I'm
and you
turning
can
to
sort of
follow the
maintain eye
conversation.
contact with him. And he kind of grins and he says, "Can you imagine how much?" And he kind of thumbs point to various mansions in the area would pay to go shopping in that.
You know,
They'll,
I think you guys are onto something. I'm just gonna enjoy the show here for a little bit.
yep. And it, oh yeah,
And
there's
I'm
the,
gonna let them, and I'm gonna ooh, and I'm gonna
yeah,
ah, and I'm gonna music, and I'm gonna squeal, and I'm
oh yeah.
gonna.
Oh, it's yeah, it's like motion capture. They take you on a virtual roller coaster ride. They do sideways shuffles. Yeah, it's yeah.
And I'm going to laugh, and I'm going to.
Uh-huh.
Oh my!
And when they're finally done, they set you down and they come to attention, and you can see them. They're like dancers. They're standing at attention, but their chests are just heaving. They have worked themselves to the brink of exhaustion for you. But they're just
That
huge grins.
that is the most amazing thing I have. I mean, wow!
And as Terrence
I can
opens the
see
door,
why you want to do this.
and as Terrence opens the door to the palanquin for you, he's trying so hard not to laugh. You realize he's had the ride before you got home. He had the yeah.
Where did my crutches go? Here's my crutches. Okay, I'll get up and out, and um, whoa, I'm a little unsteady here after that. That is absolutely amazing. So, Terrence, do you know how to hook them up?
And he hooks his thumbs in non-existent suspenders. As I've been known to run a business or two in my life, and he flexes the non-existent suspenders.
Well, uh, and I'll turn to the Lemvillians. Guys, I think you should hire him to be your manager.
And there's a collective sigh. It's 99% joy and 1% pressure relief. And the spokesman says, that's what we were missing. We know this. We don't know how to talk to people. We don't know how to take money. We don't know how much to charge. And
And we've got to
Terrence,
get you someplace to stay too, so that you've got, you need housing, you need food, you need these things so that you can focus on your art here.
and Terrence is just like he's got his out of nowhere. He's got a quill and a pen, and he's taking notes from you, and he's looking at that. I told you. Yeah, I'm just
Terrence, you're a genius. Um,
way too smart to be a farmer, huh? And
well, doesn't it take a lot of smarts to be a farmer?
about twice a year. The rest of it's mostly following a cow.
Oh, well, they're more interesting to follow.
They are a lot more interesting to follow. You know who else is interesting to follow, ma'am?
Who's that?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean us? You
No, no, I mean
like
you. They didn't ask for anybody else at the gate. I don't talk to anybody else much except you.
um. Okay.
You're
Well,
like a
I'm
magnet.
delighted to help. This is actually kind of the first time I've been out of my home city. So, I mean, it's like I knew my place and I had all the things there, but this is all kind of new to me.
Are,
So,
Are you familiar with the phrase two birds, one stone?
I don't think I am.
Well, how about we get this fine crew some free advertising, and you and me a nice ride through town.
Well, but we need some aristocracy. Maybe we start with Lady Felicity, but if we can get her
He-
mother,
he-
if we could get Lady Felicity and Lady Catherine into this,
You know how we do that?
how do we do that?
Envy. You and me in the palanquin, curtains open, enjoying the ride. Tomorrow, everybody wants it.
Okay, so has Lady Catherine or Lady Felicity been what okay, so now I remember coming back. I don't remember who I was with.
Everybody else went in the house at this point.
Everybody else
so,
went in the house.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sid and Felicity couldn't have been watching this because I think they were with me.
Yep.
So did you happen to see? Well, I mean, all of the household staff knew about this, obviously. Did you happen to see Lady Catherine watching?
What I saw, ma'am, was Lady Catherine very definitely not watching through a window behind a curtain.
Excellent. That is perfect. That's absolutely marvelous. Um,
And then he's, one moment, please. And he runs around a corner behind a little bush and he comes back with a picnic basket and he puts it in the palanquin. He says, it's best to hand a plan ahead. After you. And he holds the door again.
um,
Wine, cheese, cold cuts.
sure, but shouldn't I get
No.
um? Okay then. I guess I'll get back in.
Okay. And he gets in the other
Ah.
side and closes the
And
door.
I shall bow
Yeah.
gracefully to them.
Mm-hmm. And they look uncomfortable for a
Are you
second, and
are
then
you
they
sure
all
you're
bow
up
back.
for another one already?
And he grins at you and he says, "Perhaps we'll start with just a stroll, shall we?"
We don't want to overwhelm the locals. No, I
And
mean, with
and
all of this magnificence.
and as a group, they lift you up, and 12 grown men in uniforms sashay down the street with the palanquin between them. The windows open, the curtains swaying slightly. Allegra with, if you choose,
Allegra
a
is
glass
singing,
of
so we have
wine.
music going on in
Yep.
perfect time with the swaying.
Yep. And
So,
there's
yeah.
wine and cheese and cold cuts and just a whole
If
spectacular
this isn't
journey.
conspicuous consumption here. And graceful waving and um did they put an insignia on the side of this? Do they have an insignia yet? I've discovered that's apparently an important thing.
And he says, "We were holding back on that. We weren't sure if we should use the house insignia or something else. Perhaps something that's
Well,
not
do you
quite a coat of arms. We're trying to
I mean,
figure out how to sort of
you know what you need?
what?
You need Artemis to make you to talk about your hopes and dreams and let her draw that into a coat of arms for you. That's what you need.
Um,
I mean, do you want to be beholden to the House of Caldwell? I mean, none of you have any ties to the House of Caldwell, do you?
and almost like as an answer, he stands up and turns the cushion over that he's been sitting on, and on the other side of it is all vines and leaves.
So Artemis has already had a hand here.
Not an inspiration.
An inspiration. Okay.
Remember, she drew these people to a freezing stop in the middle of the city
Yes.
with vines
Yes.
and leaves. So yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
I mean, do they have any reason to be beholden to the House of Caldwell?
Uh, Nothing more than tradition, ma'am. We're just on their lawn. Uh,
Well, and it would be right and proper to do them some homage and give them some precedence and all of that. That would be right and proper.
that would be a heck of a first customer, wouldn't it, ma'am?
It really would.
Oh,
Um,
wave to the people. There's a bunch of them over here, and he's.
Isn't this fun? I don't actually like all these people looking at me.
Well, then look out the other side. Look at the view, and there's the ocean with Venice.
Oh, wow.
And you look back, and he's looking out at the crowd, going, "Hello, hello," and he's soaking it up.
So, no, that'll be for another time. Do you think it would hurt their reputation if I used the palanquin to take some tours around more than just the posh areas of town?
Funny you should mention that. I was chatting with those two fine young gentlemen you travel with. Well, the one's not so young, but you know what I
Stefano
mean.
and
Stefano and Verite.
and
Yeah.
Verite, yeah. Mhm.
And Stefano's quite a sharp business mind. He suggested that if we use this as sort of the executive transport, that perhaps he and Verite could put something together a little more pragmatic for the, I hesitate to use the word common folk. Something automated, I think they were talking about.
Yes, but I was kind of thinking maybe um
They're people feet. There's just a lot of them.
but
And they're wearing a skirt now. Wait till you see it.
but but
That was
really
Sid's idea. Yeah.
but if we're I really want to see the town, the city, and I don't want to ooh and ah at the posh places. I mean, that's it's. I mean, wow, pretty jaw dropping, fantastic. But I want to see the real city. You know what I mean? The real people and where the real people live, and the you know, where do they get their water from? Where do they get their, how do they? You've told me a little about how they get their food, but how do the common people get their food? How do they? Where do they congregate and socialize? How do they? I want to see the
And
real city the way the real people here do.
and
I mean,
he nods.
can I use this amazing thing to get that tour?
Of course. But it's not half done yet. We haven't even put on most of the gilt, but yes, absolutely. And he leans out the window and he says, "Give us the scenic route home." And there's absolutely, and there's a
Do they
slight
know the routes yet?
a slight change of pace. Apparently, they do. They are
I
professionals.
was only gone a few hours.
Yeah.
But these are pros. They know what they're looking
Well,
for.
I can cover that. They stay on main roads, but I mean they just start, make a left at the next main road and go right at the next main road, and they at least know where they at least be able to find their way back. But yes, you get to see
And
all of the, like, it's not even a scale, it's like a line, right? When you cross from the hill down into the city itself, it's just every building's empty. Nobody's in any buildings, right? Everybody's working real hard and not getting much back for it.
what are the boundaries of what people can and can't do? I mean, I get they can't live in these houses until, what did you say, 20 years, 25 years, something?
25, yeah.
some number like that. But what can they do? And so I guess that's kind of what Allegra's
Yeah.
looking for as
Yeah.
she's looking around at ground level. What can they do and what do they do and
And
what are they?
to summarize a conversation, I guess would be the way to do this. But what he gives you is there's nothing stopping anybody from doing anything except tradition. There's no police, there's no military, there's no, yeah, it's
What
just tradition.
happens? So what happens when someone bypasses tradition?
He just shrugs. Don't know. Never seen it.
Well, Venice has never seen anything like this either. So
Mhm. And we'll leave you, I think, for the moment on that at that moment because we still got to get you from here to tomorrow morning, but we could do that in a minute. Because tomorrow morning, uh, well, we're still at last night, Felicity. You had the
Yeah.
note that says breakfast is 1 hour after dawn, written in your mother's handwriting, and it's only about 4 hours before dawn right now. Um, Sid and Artemis have gone to staff quarters, as is their wont. What do you do?
I go to my room and draw myself a very private bath.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I don't I don't stay in it long because I need to get as much sleep as I can, but she definitely like lets the makeup melt off and her hair like down and
Yeah.
all of that stuff and just kind of tries to metaphorically wash off the ugh of
Uh-huh.
like all of this formality and stuff. Like
Yeah.
she she was raised with formality, but she finally learned to like let it go, and now it's kind of gross to her because it reminds her of the disgusting formality from Florence.
Mm-hmm.
Um so like she just wants to get rid of it as much as she can before she has to step back into it. So she takes a quick enough bath and then wraps herself in the pajamas that she's been provided because her old clothes have been whisked away to get laundered or just
Yep.
burned, she assumes. Um,
And it's another one of those moments where you look for the bedclothes to wear, and you've got 5 options laid out on a table somewhere.
she rolls her eyes. Um, sh- she'll just pick a pair at this
Mhm.
point
Yep.
or a set, I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh yeah.
Um,
There's some awfully there's a range, but some of them are ludicrously fancy for sleepwear.
yeah, she just like grab like the one that's like a shirt and pants, but it's clearly still like silk brocade
Oh yeah. Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Um, and she'll just like toss it on and just she looks at pardon me. She looks at the necklace thing
Yep.
from her dad for a minute and then climbs into bed, pulls the cover all the way over her head, and just like falls asleep.
Yep. Some unknown time later, you become aware of an annoying sound. It's just tink 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 tink. It's a spoon inside a teacup, and it's just going
Yeah,
on and on and on.
she she finally like lets out a soft sigh and sits up in bed, and I think one side of her hair is like sticking up
Oh yeah.
because she
Yep.
went to bed with wet hair.
Yep.
So she like like whoever is there
Yep. It's your
probably
butler.
like, yeah, um she
And
probably clocks the weird look that he gives her, and she's just like smoothing down everything.
unflapped.
um
The unflappableness is just unflapped in front of you, just like nope. You could not shock this dude at this point. And I will mention there's actually 3 cups of tea. As soon as you open an eye, they stop stirring and put the spoon down. But there are 3 cups of tea on the tray, and he holds it down towards you for like inappropriately close almost. And you realize he's trying to get you to smell them. And he says, "I thought, given the shortness of this evening, Madam might like a choice." And one smells like tea, and one smells like tea with a bit of whiskey in it, and the other one smells like mostly whiskey. Major domo, yes,
uh
yeah,
um she'll take the one that's only slightly whiskey.
yep, yeah. Irish tea instead of Irish coffee. It's got a little whiskey in it.
Yeah, yeah. um and she'll, sit up, sip s- sip vigorously
Yep,
to sort of hurry
just
up,
yep.
um wake up and stuff. I mean, she, between working long hours at the Citadel and um the ridiculousness of what they had to do to get to Venice in the first place, like, she's not unaccustomed to not getting a ton of sleep, but like she doesn't enjoy not getting a lot of sleep.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah. Nobody enjoys missing a night, but yep.
Um, so I'm guessing she has to go through the whole process of getting dressed and made up again and everything.
Yes, but without ever saying anything about it, today's choices are all very easy to get into. Today's makeup palette is very light and fresh. Today's hair mostly involves a hat. Yeah, it's somebody's way ahead of you. Somebody does this for a living, and so you got like now on
Hair.
on the flip side of that, it becomes immediately aware that your every second, every moment of your life on this place in this building is watched, whether you see them or
Mm,
not. So
yep. In that case, yeah, Felicity will, of the options that are simpler and easier,
yep.
she will choose the most complicated of the easy dresses, and
Ah. Uh-huh.
she will go for the more sophisticated of the makeup looks, and she will opt for a few more curls under the hat.
And seeing what you're doing, your major domo offers you a second cup of tea. And you can see,
This one she will sip more slowly.
and underneath the unflappable, you can see a very small grin. And as he unnecessarily floofs the last floof and straightens the last straighten, he mutters almost as though he's not supposed to have said it out loud. He says, "Oh, what I wouldn't give to be dining room staff this morning." I love that we're understanding that I just decided sort of today's about the real people that run this place, and how they are all real people. So yeah, yeah.
And Felicity is going to say, "Oh, what I wouldn't give to be anyone but me this morning."
And as he looks at you and he looks down at the two teacups that are still on the tray, he takes the one that's mostly whiskey and drains it, and then he takes the one that's mostly tea and drains it after, and goes to make sure that it only smells like tea. And then he looks at you and he says, if you really want to get out of breakfast quickly, you could mention manual labor to your mother." And he goes to straightening cups and
Felicity kind of like stifles a laugh. You should try not to like wake the rest of the hallway. Um, and she's like, "We'll see how things play out. But good to know that I have an out if I need one."
and you see him break mold. Like an actual human face shows up and not the unflappable. And he says, if I'm honest, it started with your he kind of looks down the hallway, assistants. They're not very assistanty. It's inspirationally not rule followers, if you take my meaning.
Can I tell you a secret?
With the knowledge will never spread above the stairs, madam. Which means he said he's going to tell the entire staff, but nobody like your mom will ever find out.
I mean, it's probably not a secret by now, but they're not my assistants. They're my friends.
And he goes to reach for the cup that had the whiskey in it and realizes Zorinta isn't any left and looks at you and he says, at the risk of being fired, ma'am, no shit.
She openly laughs.
The group of you are did you realize what an inspiration you are to the below stairs people? I mean, that one on the canes has got the kitchen absolutely in love with her.
Oh, she does that, yeah.
But it isn't just those two should be in jail. And he points down the hall. The way that they act in front of you. You're Lady Felicity fucking Caldwell.
What? I'm just Felicity Caldwell.
Oh no, we won't have that. What's the point in power if you don't use it?
It's not about having it, it's about it's not about using it, it's about what you use it for.
Exactly. And that, madam, is why we're watching the four of you. And if you'll excuse me, and he bends down and picks up the tray, and when he stands back up, the mask is back on.
Thank you, and have a good morning.
Oh, you too, madam, especially breakfast. And he turns around and hustles out of the room.
Oh, and then Felicity goes, "Oh, I'm fucked."
And I want to get you
With
two
like
breakfast.
a smile on her face.
Yep, I want to get you two breakfast and to a window in that room before we cut back, because then we're going to get Allegra and we're going to bring time back together in the morning. So, but first, breakfast. Do you go to the breakfast nook where breakfast was yesterday?
I guess that's the only place she knows to immediately look.
Mm-hmm. And
Although the butler did mention dining room staff
uh,
as if it's in the dining room.
no, it's that's a misspeak on my part. I should have said the
Ah, okay.
wait staff. But yes, it is in the breakfast area. You get there. It was 1 hour after dawn, is what they that said. It's not yet 1 hour after dawn. It's like 50 minutes after dawn. But as you come around the corner into the room, on the table there are set two plates. The far end is your mother, finished everything, juice, coffee, all of it. And as you walk in, conveniently has just patted her lips and is standing up. At your end of the table is your entire breakfast, cold as ice. Oh, you've arrived. And she sits back down like it's a big favor.
Morning, Mother. I see we're being passive aggressive this morning. And she will saunter uh gracefully though,
Oh yes.
um with like a knowing air over to her seat
Yep.
and deliberately eat her cold breakfast.
You think you could do passive aggressive, mother? Watch this. So she sits there and tries so hard to radiate disapproval, but she's trying to mother you, and you're a grown ass woman, and it's just you realize she has no power over you except these little power plays that she's making. So as long as you keep refusing to play the role, she still doesn't know what to do with you. So what do you do with that information?
Morning. How did you sleep?
Um well, your friends were up rather late into the evening, and they tell me, a thing in my front yard.
A thing.
They used a different word, but I didn't know it. So,
What's that word? A palanquin?
and there's like a twitch. Yes, that might have been it. She tries to backpedal quickly. Yes, that might be it. Do you know anything about it? Surely you're not. Uh, do you know anything about it?
Well, I know it's a very fashionable mode of transportation, and I know that the people who built it are next to none in their field.
And through an open window, you hear the sound, just flappity flap, 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 about hundreds of bare naked feet walking on pavement, all at the same time, and a shriek.
It's not unorthodox.
Uh, if you do go and have a look out the window, uh,
Um, I will set my fork and knife down in the position that I know will tell the dining staff that I am not finished.
yep,
And yes, I do peek out the window.
yep. You look outside and you see indeed a palanquin, but it's only about this far off the ground, and all around the edge is like the skirts that they put on floats, like on Christmas parade floats, that there's just cloth hanging there, and every time it moves, they all kind of this it just goes. It's it's not better than, I mean, you never saw it as just feet, but it's not better. Uh, and you see Verite and and Stefano standing behind it looking. Stefano looks like he just woke up because he did. Verite looks like he's been up all night because he was. But they're just grinning like they have accomplished the greatest thing in the world as this weird thing moves in patterns on the lawn.
I may have a talk with them about applications for their creation. But I first have a question for you, Mother. And she sits back down at her seat and
There's
begins
a
to
fresh
deliberately
warm
eat
coffee poured.
again.
Yeah. They've come up, seen the thing, then all they've done is refill your coffee with a fresh, or tea or whatever it was, with a fresh warm one.
But she will take a sip.
Mm-hmm. And what was it you said there? Yes, you had a question for her. She looks uncomfortable, but she can't leave. It wouldn't be appropriate. So,
Mm-hmm. How did you find the book I recommended?
through the makeup, you can see a flush. It was, I almost want to call it risque, but not in the way that normally means. And like she's trying to get across that it's it's too much. It's like a weird utopia I can't understand.
It seemed like something Father would like.
All the
You know,
color
there are many
fades
others
from
like
her
it.
face. Yeah.
I'd like to amend something I said yesterday.
Oh yes, I'm quite good with amendments. They're holding an empty teacup now, like just so they've got something to do with their hands. They've got the saucer and an empty teacup.
Yeah. She says, I realize I was not clear in my communication about power and its relation to love. When you show others love, you gain respect, and with respect comes power. Fear does not breed respect, it breeds resentment and hostility and that brings revolution, but not the kind you want. When you show respect to others, you earn respect back, and then you affect positive change for them and for yourself. Love is not all romantic. Love is human. Love is intrinsic to the way we function. Being cold and calculating is only one approach. That is what I was getting at. I'm sure there's a book about it somewhere in those bookshelves. I shall try and find it, and perhaps that can be the next recommendation.
That sounded kind of like an exit line. Was it your intent to sort of flounce out at that point, or are you waiting?
She will, when she says that, she will deliberately cross her knife and fork across her plate to indicate that she has finished eating.
Yep.
And definitely make it very obvious so her mother can see
Yep.
that she has made her point.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And as you do that, she puts the tea, the empty teacup and saucer down at her end of the table, and without looking at you, she looks down at that cup and says, "This love and respect. how do you do that? And it's a legitimate question. At that moment outside, the next morning, Allegra, you got, after your tootle around town and all your great information from Terrence, the nearly local, and a fantastic barbecue in the fanciest of cabs that has ever been created. They can't help themselves. They gather a crowd a couple times. You are forced to endure a few prancings and movings about and grand moments from the crew. It turns out they're natural performers on top of it all. So they had this tightly choreographed thing, but they've started to add sort of some flash and flair to it for they're playing the crowd now.
Hmm.
It's a show. So it's not only a spectacular ride, it's a show. But in the end of it, you can see they're starting to flag and get tired. And so maybe with the hint from you or not, if not
A
from you,
hint from me,
definitely from
definitely.
Terrence, they make their way back up the hill. And as they head back in, it's later in the evening, and they put the palanquin down, and you can see their thump. They're doing that thing where they're standing at attention and breathing hard again. Terrence leaps out and opens the door for you. He's had a couple drinks, so it's kind of grandiose when he opens the door for you on the front lawn. What you see in front of you is the boys and a palanquin with 100 feet attached to the bottom of it, and they're all walking like it's literally up on blocks while they're testing it, and neither one of them has seen you.
Neither of them has seen me. This big grand parade, and neither of them has seen me. Love
Nope.
it.
No, they are fixated on their,
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Sid
That
walked right
level
up
of
to them and
focus.
yeah, Sid walked up and tapped one of them on the shoulder, and they didn't. They still didn't see him. So.
So Allegra's gonna, I'm gonna look at them for a little while, and kind of look at the the tired but hopefully happy
Oh yeah,
people.
yeah. They're like kids that just spent all day at Disneyland. They're just just wasted on happy.
How are they reacting to what the boys are doing?
uh, they they see it and they're kind of grinning, and Terrence is grinning again, like got a huge grin on his face, and he said, "Remember we talked about the executive class and the," and he goes, "Not so executive class. That one doesn't dance. It doesn't wave at the crowd." But it also doesn't have to be booked 3 weeks in advance, which, by the way, if anybody asks, this one does.
Absolutely. I won't even specify a time. I am absolutely certain there's quite the waiting list. Folks had better hurry if they want to book and get in line. Um,
Oh, I'll make a salesman of you yet. We got to do something about those
you
feet, though.
inspire me, Terrence.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, but those feet are creepy.
Yeah, they kind of are. Um, so how, h- what should I call? What should I call your group? This group?
And Terrence looks at them, and they all, in perfect unison, they look in 12 different directions. Nobody's got any idea. They're not that bold to be naming themselves.
uh, well, we'll have to come up with something. But in the meantime, I also want to look around some. So now that they're back and tired, are household staff coming to give them food and things, or are we still strictly on our own? Are they strictly on their own here?
Excellent question. Food has been placed, drink has been placed, but it has been placed behind shrubberies and artfully concealed behind fountains. so that these people can have access to it, but nobody in the house looking out of the front of the house would see that they were being taken care of.
Okay. But they have place and amenities and
They've
things to
yeah,
they're being taken
yeah.
care of.
They've got like gladiator levels of food sitting aside for them, tens of thousands of calories and lots of good like
Okay.
dandelion wine and just good food. Yeah, they're
So
being
given
treated
that
special.
yeah,
Yeah,
given that Allegra is going to give in to her fatigue
yeah.
and is going to oh, yeah, stairs. Okay, I shall go tackle stairs.
And Terrence looks at you for a second, opens his mouth to offer, and then shakes his head just that tiny little bit. I'm gonna go check in on the boys.
That sounds good. And so Allegra will make her way um in the staff entrance, and she's going to start to make her way up the staff stairs.
Yep. And you do so, and it's it's fairly late, so I'm assuming. Was there anything else you wanted to do before you
No.
crashed? No. So crashing to sleep. But the last thing you see outside is Terrence chatting with the lads and pointing at the feet and shaking his head like, no, 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 no. The next morning, you wake up and you wake up to hear at the end of the hallway Artemis's voice going, "Oh, gods, no!" And then a couple that you hear Sid, the sound of Sid walking down the hall before his tea. So that's sort of like the man in socks walking heavily down a hall. Thud, 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 thud. Then you hear, and you hear Sid land in a chair. He's laughing so hard he's chosen not to stand up anymore.
Okay, I'm curious.
Mhm.
I'm curious. So Allegra is going to get up, dress herself as with the minimal effort, to get.
Yep.
And poke her head out into
Yep.
the hallway.
So you look out and you can see out in you can see through the window they're looking, or Artemis is still looking through. Artemis is face palmed so hard you think she might be like she's pulling her king out of her face to use the mechanic of the game. It's just oh no, my headache's coming back. Beyond her on two hillsides are grand art. If you consider like white rocks lined up in letters to be art. On one, it says, graffiti is crime. I'm sorry. On a different hill in a different font, clearly a different message, but just because they showed up on the same night, it kind of feels related. It says, if all of us rise up, they cannot stop the flood. Move inside! Exclamation point.
Subtle.
Artemis turns around and walks
I'm
past
going to
you,
stay
muttering,
out of Artemis's way. Yes.
They don't
I'm
do
definitely
subtle.
going to-
As Artemis
I'm going to
stomps
stay out of her
past
way.
you.
Yes.
Artemis stomps past. They don't do subtle, and it's boom, 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 boom down the hall. They go and have a word with their proteges because they've got two now. Sid is weeping. Yep, their friend they met out in the sticks is now helping as well. They're helping.
Good.
She's got two Ralphs helping.
Good. Good. Helping. Yes.
Sid finally. I mean, there's tears running down his cheeks. He's laughing so hard. And he stands up and he says, I'm gonna go play with some trains. And he just, without any other words, he just stumbles off down the stairs and into the story. Felicity, you would at least, if you were there, you'd at least know what he was talking about. But no, Artemis and Allegra probably, you wouldn't have told them.
Well,
So.
I was at the cafe when they started talking about trains.
Okay, so you would have at least,
So I assume it has something to do with that because I got the guy talking about it with the aren't trains cool?
Yes, yeah. And then from around the corner of the mansion, you hear that sound again, the flappity 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 flappity. And you look, and Artemis or Allegra, you saw it last night with all the feet. They have put like a a skirt. It's a dark blue skirt with a nice little white silver line. Blue and silver is the colors of this place, right? Yeah, little silver line around it, but you can still kind of see the feet underneath. You can certainly hear them. But this palanquin is now puttering around, and inside it are the boys, and you can see they're doing something to steer. And they're driving it around the lawn. Flappity, 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 flappity.
I one of these rooms has to have a balcony over that
Oh,
way,
yes.
right?
Yep, yep.
Okay, so I'm going out onto a balcony so that I don't have to fuss with the stairs to get
Yep.
down to them.
Yep.
And I kind of lean on the balcony and I go, so that's what I'm supposed to ride in to get my non-posh tour. We need a different word for it, but
uh, Stefano looks up at you and grins and says, "We were thinking of calling it the People's Tour."
good. Good. Um does it have to be feet?
We thought about that, and we think the sign should say, "Take a walk through history." What I'm really saying is Verite did 84 feet before I saw what he was doing, and I didn't have the heart to tell him to change it to wheels.
I see the problem. Um
On the bright side, the next one apparently is going to have cricket legs. You know him, he can't do the same thing twice.
well, that's good. That's a good thing. Because then when he comes up with something people like, we'll get someone else to replicate it, I guess. This
That's
is
I
what
think that's where I come
prototyping?
in. Yeah.
Okay. I I trust you with that.
But once he finally makes a normal one, we can put these ones on the creepy tour, like make up ghosts and stuff, and we'll put them. I
That's a
don't know.
fantastic idea. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
It's different. It's weird. People will pay. That's all I know. And look at him. And you
How
look
do you
over
know
it,
people will pay?
and he looks at you like you've missed something really obvious. He says, because somebody else hasn't yet.
Hasn't paid?
First, I paid first.
And Allegra can very definitely tell that he's tapped in to a very fundamental part of humanity, and
Mhm.
it's not the part she's tapped
No,
into.
no, no, no. No, Stefano is a manipulative little shit left to his own devices. There is no question. But he's working for a good cause, but that's because of you guys. Otherwise, he'd be a menace. More of a menace. He's already kind of menaced a couple times.
I'm gonna leave him to it.
And Felicity, you see that play out on the lawn in front of you. Uh, Behind you, you hear, or frankly, don't hear, your mother see it and stop breathing.
Um,
Should we fetch smelling salts?
is this before or after the conversation?
I'm going to put this in that awkward pause after the love and respect. I don't know how to do that line.
Okay. Um, why don't we withdraw to the library? And I can tell you what I've learned.
And she
And
starts
she
to,
says
yeah,
that
yeah,
sincerely.
yep. She starts to breathe again. She looks at you and says, "The library at this time of day? Oh, what the hell!" And she throws her napkin on the table and waits to be led on this great adventure of going to the library before noon while wearing breakfast clothes, even. The
Oh
madness of it
God.
all.
Okay. So Felicity will take the lead
Hmm.
and be the one, initiating the risky
Yeah,
behavior.
absolutely.
um
Assisting you,
and
your major domo, who has no right to be in the library, arrives as the two of you arrive and walks over and places on there's a logical sort of two big chairs for the two of you to sit in with this little table between it. He places
Mhm.
very ostentatiously places a glass or a tray with two glasses of rather alcoholic tea on it, and then slides back into the background in the shadows.
Felicity gives a discreet but not invisible nod of recognition, um, to make sure that this is lesson number one
Yeah.
to her mother.
Yes.
Recognition is part of respect.
Hmm. And
Um,
she follows you into the room and kind of looks around
and
because she's never seen it in this light before, right?
as the sort of morning sun
Yes.
illuminates,
Oh, that book
I think it
dust.
illuminates,
Oh.
yeah,
Is that house
the
dust?
dust
Oh,
and
there's book dust though. That's good dust. You got to leave
Okay,
that.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
That's
yeah.
knowledge
Um,
dandruff floating through the air over there.
Okay.
I've o-
I think
I've only got
I
to
love
run
it. I
one.
hate it.
I've only had to run one game in the last week. I'm a little overloaded. So,
No, I love it and hate it, and it was great. Um, no, I think because the morning sun is lower than the afternoon sun when she's usually in the library. She it hits a different section of books than it usually does.
yes. Yeah.
It hits John's books.
Perfect.
Um, more of John's books, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, and she kind of peruses and thinks about it,
You hear from behind you.
and
I miss him terribly.
he takes a book off the shelf. She doesn't hand it to her mom just yet, but she holds it. Um, and she sits in the chair opposite her mother, and she says, I would be incredibly saddened if you didn't.
And almost to make up for that letting you in, she kind of you see the face try and reform, like the lady Caldwell face, and it fails miserably. And she looks at you and just like she's welling up. She reaches over and picks up her teacup and has a sniff and says, seems like a good day to get day drunk. What do you think? And she holds out the teacup looking for a salute.
Felicity will take her teacup and
A little china
acknowledge.
ding.
And as a joke, she will pinky out.
Yes.
And take a large sip, but not an egregiously gross like large sip. Just a enthusiastic
Yeah.
like encouragement kind of thing.
And in response, she already had her finger out because that's how you do it. And in response to that, she turns the cup sideways and holds it like this and has a big slurp out of it. And she says, "Oh, it's good to be bad." And she reaches out to put, no, wait. And she has another one before she puts the cup down. And then she reaches up, and you saw it before. She's done this once before. She undid the ruff at dinner the other night. There's no ruff
Mhm.
because it's breakfast, but she starts. You can see she starts fiddling and fussing and reaching for buttons and just letting in the places she can get to. She's releasing the tension on her garments, and she says, "Well, if we're going to get what is it they say, shit faced? I don't want to be restrained." And you can tell in
Might
her
I
own
sug-
awkward way, this is her trying to reach out to you. Like she's overreacted horribly, but she's trying to reach out. She's trying to go with this, hey, library
Yeah.
in the morning thing, and she's hugely overreacted.
She swung completely in the other
Yeah.
direction of
Yeah.
extreme.
Oh, yes.
Um,
That's what people do when they're learning, and it's funny.
yeah. um, you can be drunk with decorum. It's okay. I don't expect you to. Let me put it this way. It's not something you can learn all in a day. It takes practice, and it's something that I had to learn as well.
Oh. And she said quite a bit of tea. She says, something I wanted to learn from you. How do you just do stuff? Like you wanted to go somewhere yesterday and you just went. And there's people building things in my lawn and you're like, that's weird, but it's okay. I don't understand.
You want to know the secret?
Yes, please. And picks up the mug again, looking across the very dregs of the remains of this, what's left in the cup.
Stop caring what other people think. I know it's really hard. It's really hard when you are raised and taught that what people think is the most important thing in the world. But who cares? If you can have fun and be yourself and love and express and have friends and people who love you back, that's real power. And that's how you get respect, and that's how you get what you want. That and hard work. And I'm not talking about manual labor, I'm talking about
There's a shudder.
self improvement.
I think I'm going to need more whiskey. But Felicity, can you teach me?
Mum?
Can you teach me to be like you? Free? And like there's whiskey flying everywhere in the cup.
Um, she doesn't laugh, but I laughed.
Yeah.
Um, she smiles and she says, "Absolutely."
What was that outfit you were wearing when you got here?
That was from the village, wasn't it?
I think so. Was it comfortable?
Yes, rather was.
Can I try it on? I haven't been comfortable in clothes in 20 ever.
I suppose if the staff haven't burned it yet.
Oh no, they've cleaned it. I made sure that they did that, and it'll be in your closet. Have they shown you the closet yet? You didn't even know there was a closet in your
Uh,
room. Yeah.
yeah, no, uh, no, I wasn't aware there was a closet.
She stands up, turns around, grabs the glass, the tea, which has been refilled again. She says, I'll show you then, shall I? Oh, one more thing. And she leans in like it's the biggest secret in the world she's asking of you. She's, what's it like wearing pants? And that's where I'm going to drop the curtain on that scene with a real brief cut to Allegra outside, or sorry, on the balcony, looking out over the spectacle of the lads and the having the whole conversation with Stefano and realizing that he's got a business plan and he is a business magnate waiting to happen, and Verite is happy, and the next one won't have human feet. What's Allegra, as you're looking, I gotta ask, because the Lemvillians are there, right? Relaxing in 4 groups of 3, looking happier than humans have, that looking as happy as I wish every human looked, because I wish every human was that happy. But
And it's not their day.
yes, it's
They're just
100% by choice.
relaxed.
Yes.
So Allegra, looking at that, can then turn aside without even really thinking about it. It's like, that's all well underway. It doesn't need me. It doesn't need anything. Actually, it's not that it doesn't need me. It doesn't need anything. It's doing fine.
Yeah.
So I, as the player, have been kind of thinking that Allegra hasn't done anything with the upstairs maids yet.
Yep.
And I wouldn't want to leave them out.
You turn around and make your way back to the house. And we're, as the curtain comes down on that scene, because we are going to stop tonight. It's been an hour and 20, but it's been intense. So, but just as the curtain drops, the camera pans back to the fancy palanquin, and on the side where you couldn't see him, Terrence has got a chisel and a hammer, and he's working on some very elaborate scroll work that's being gilded as he does it. And he's you can see he's utterly focused. And when his hands move away, we see a little image almost hidden in the gilding of Allegra on her crutches stepping into this palanquin. And as he steps back, he looks at the painter and he says, "Make sure you get extra gilt on that bit." And he turns around and walks away. And that's where the curtain will fall the rest of the way. To anybody who thinks you can't do a game with only 2 players, we just did.
Wearing hats.
We just did 86 minutes with no plays, no rolls, no cards, no nothing, 100% role play. We moved the story along an amazing amount. We made some NPCs into real people. So thank you for all of those chances.
And next, Allegra needs to get back into the city.
Oh, yes. And I absolutely love the faces that I'm seeing right now. There's nothing I like more at the end of a session than people already thinking what they're going to do in the next one. That is, to me, that is the ultimate compliment. I can just, I can smell the oil burning up as you think and think and think. Thank you both for tonight. I know there's not a single person on the cast or crew of this show that was at 100% today. Not one of us. So thank you all for doing what you do. The one that is the radio drama, yes. And Bison Buddy, it is so good to see you in chat. For the whole night tonight, we didn't put you to sleep. My ASMR voice didn't work tonight. So, hey, yeah. Glad to have you with us, and you have no idea how much I mean that. It's a big deal. So thank you. And no less than that, huge thanks to our regular player who plays Artemis, Thunderscape 7. Life has intervened, and then life has intervened in good and bad ways, and those are all good things. So we'll see them when they're back. Thank you to the 2 that were here in particular, Karis Sophia. I used your whole name because you're in trouble. You are in trouble for being one of the most amazing people it has been my pleasure to ever meet on or off a gaming screen. We talked about our good friend Bison, and you have made his difficulties much less difficult with your love and your support. And you do that for everybody, and I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, we see it, we feel it, we couldn't do what we do without it. Thank you. You're also an amazing player. So there. Oh, you can hang your hat on that one and not hide your face on that bit. But thank you. And Wayward, the waywardest of nights, Chris. Oh, I appreciate your energy. I really do. I know how much of a struggle some of these weeks are, and you are always ready to go. It's like, let's do this. I can't breathe. I don't care. Let's do this. I'm gonna fall off my chair. I don't care. Let's do this. It's just, I love that so much because it makes me feel so wanted and so needed and so appreciated that it's a big deal. And I do appreciate all of my players in every game, and the lack of games in the last couple of weeks has really reminded me of this. You guys are a huge part of my life, and I love every single one of you, and I wouldn't be living the life I'm living without you, and I wouldn't be as proud of what we've done if we hadn't all done it together. So thank you. To everybody that watched, thank you. Whether it was VOD, whether it was live, or whether it was on YouTube, thank you. There's a bajillion other things you could have been doing, and you chose to watch us, and I appreciate that. If you did on YouTube watch all the way to here, please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit it already, because those 2 things are free. And pop a comment in, because not only does everybody says the algorithm likes a comment. You know who likes a comment? Me. That's who likes the comments. Every single one of them. It means somebody watched. It means we made somebody's day better. And it's that simple.
Was inspired to engage.
It's that simple. We made somebody's day better. So on that note, if you've got the energy, be kind, because that takes a lot of work. If you haven't got that kind of energy, please, until next time, be nice to each other. Good night.